Hello, and welcome to Nexus Story Network.
The Imperial Hall of Celestia Prime, capital world of the Thalcor Dominion, was carved from living stone older than human civilization itself. The walls pulsed faintly with bioluminescent veins, ancient bioarchitecture grown during an era when the galaxy belonged to creatures far more powerful than anything that walked now. On the throne of woven obsidian limbs sat Emperor Vorzen, the 41st ruler of the Dominion. His 4 golden eyes narrowed as the holographic lattice shimmered into existence before him. A signal. Weak. Chaotic. Primitive. Sent from a small blue world on the outer spiral of the Orion Arm. Origin, Sol 3, announced High Archivist Drave. Local designation. Earth. The species calls itself human. Technological level, barely spacefaring. Their signal is accidental, unencoded, and painfully unsophisticated. A low ripple of amusement swept through the court. Primitive worlds sent signals all the time, pleas for help, broadcasts of early radio waves, attempts to announce themselves to the stars. Most fizzled out before reaching Celestia Prime. But this one was different. The waveform was unstable, yet oddly patterned. The frequency drifted not randomly, but in deliberate steps, as if some deeper structure was hidden beneath the noise. Emperor Vorzen's gaze sharpened. "Advisor Zelthara," he said. "Your analysis." The science advisor stepped forward, tall, slender, her skin shifting through iridescent shades of cobalt as she thought. Zelthara was known across the Dominion for her brilliance, and her dangerous curiosity. She projected an amplified scan. "Majesty, the surface layer is indeed crude. But beneath it is a mathematical structure humans should not be capable of producing." The room went silent. "That is impossible," scoffed Admiral Korvac, the Dominion's most celebrated strategist. "Humans are a Tier 1 civilization. Barely metal tools and chemical engines. They fling themselves into space like stones from catapults." Zelthara didn't flinch. "And yet," she continued, "this subpattern resembles quantum lattice compression. A technique only our highest research divisions began understanding in the last 2 centuries. Humans should not know this. They should not even perceive it." The Emperor spoke softly. "Could it be an accident?" "No accident," Zelthara said. "Someone on Earth hid a message inside a primitive broadcast. Someone who knows far more than their species should." A murmur of unease swept the court. Admiral Korvac crossed 2 of his arms and smirked. "Then let us confirm. I will take the 7th Imperial Fleet to this Earth and observe. If they are truly primitive, we file the report and leave. If not, we remove the threat." "Humanity is not a threat," Zelthara insisted. "Not yet. And that assumption, that arrogance, may be exactly what blinded us the last time." The room tensed. The last time. A reference to the ancient war against the Vanth Collective, a species underestimated until it was nearly too late. The Emperor exhaled deeply. "Korvac. You will take the fleet. But you will not provoke war." Korvac bowed with only 2 of his arms, an intentional gesture of restrained respect. "As you command, Majesty." Vorzen turned to the advisor. "Zelthara, you will accompany him. Observe the humans. Decode the signal fully. I want to know who, or what, is hiding behind primitive skin." She bowed. The Emperor's voice grew darker. "Because if the humans are not what they seem, the Dominion must know before the galaxy changes again." Far across the void, on a quiet moon orbiting Saturn, a young woman wearing the uniform of the Terran Vanguard stared at a message flashing in a holographic window. "Tijelkor probe detected. Imperial fleet arrival estimated, 72 hours. Captain Arya Solane closed her eyes. So, the Dominion finally noticed. She turned to her crew aboard the human flagship TSV Horizon 1, a vessel powered by technology humanity had hidden for generations. Prepare the ship. The galaxy thinks we're primitive. Let's not disappoint them. Humanity's unveiling had begun. The 7th Imperial Fleet emerged from slipspace like a storm of metal wings. Dozens of war carriers, battleships, ion spear frigates, and living bioships unfolded across the dark canvas of Saturn's orbit. Their hulls were carved with runic bone plates, glowing faintly with void light harvested from dying stars. To the humans watching from hidden stations across the solar system, it was the most massive alien military force ever recorded. To the Dominion, it was merely the fleet assigned for routine reconnaissance. Admiral Korvac stood on the bridge of the flagship ISS Vengeance of Dawn, arms behind his back, posture proud and unshaken. Begin planetary scans, he commanded. Zelthara floated holographic overlays through the bridge. Baseline infrastructure detected. Chemical engines. Low orbital presence. Minimal weaponry. No unified planetary defense. Korvac smirked, mandibles tightening in satisfaction. Primitive, as expected. But then the sensor officer's tendrils stiffened. Admiral, anomaly detected. A vessel emerging from behind Titan's shadow. The main view screen flickered. And the humans appeared. A single ship. A sleek obsidian figure slicing through the void. Silent. Smooth. Seamless, as if grown rather than built. Its engine wake did not flare, it folded, like light bending around a blade. Zelthara's skin flushed violet. Impossible. That is no chemical engine. That propulsion field. I've never seen anything like it. The humans hailed first. A soft, calm voice filled the Imperial bridge. This is Captain Arya Solane of the Terran Vanguard. We welcome the 7th Imperial Fleet to Sol. Korvac lifted his chin. Captain Solane. Your species is unauthorized to approach an Imperial fleet. You will power down your engines and surrender your vessel for examination. A small silence, and then a quiet breath. I'm afraid that will not be possible. Korvac's eyes narrowed. The audacity. The disrespect. He gestured sharply. Fire a plasma test lance. Level, containing strike. Zelthara spun toward him. Admiral, no. We have not verified there. Too late. A bolt of cobalt plasma, strong enough to vaporize a battleship, lanced through space and struck the human flagship. The bridge lights dimmed as every officer leaned forward. The human ship did not move. Did not dodge. Did not fire back. The plasma bolt hit the horizon directly. And bent. The energy folded around the hull like water parted by an invisible hand, splitting into ribbons of harmless light that dissipated into the void. Not a scratch. Not a ripple. Korvac's heart slammed against his chest. What shielding is that? Zelthara whispered, horrified. That wasn't shielding. The ship altered the plasma's gravitational trajectory. The humans hailed again, voice untouched by hostility. Admiral Korvac, we kindly ask that you refrain from firing on us again. We are here for peaceful contact. The Emperor's orders repeated themselves in Korvac's mind. Do not provoke war. Korvac forced his voice calm. Explain your technology, Captain Solane. Your species should not possess such defenses. Arya Solane stepped into view on the hologram, blue tactical uniform shimmering under soft white light. Behind her, the bridge of the horizon was composed of curved crystalline surfaces humming with quiet energy, unlike any alien ship ever seen. With respect, Admiral, she said, your assumptions about humanity are outdated. Korvac felt a cold shiver beneath his armor. Humanity had been hiding something. Arya continued. We request diplomatic dialogue. Not conflict. Not submission. Dialogue. Zelthara leaned forward, intrigued. You folded plasma around your hull, she said softly. Is your ship alive? Arya smiled faintly. In a manner of speaking. A whisper ran through the Imperial bridge. Then something stranger happened. The human ship's hull rippled. Not metal. Not alloy. Something grew. The horizon's outer structure expanded in fractal patterns, reshaping itself moment by moment. Zelthara's breath caught. Adaptive quantum phase armor. Organic and mechanical, fused. Korvac felt sweat between his scales. Humans possessed technology the Dominion had never conceived. The Admiral steadied his voice. Captain Solane, your world is classified as primitive. How did your species acquire such advancements? Arya's expression shifted, subtle, sharp. We didn't acquire them, Admiral. We developed them. Silence. Cold. Heavy. Fearful. Then she said words that altered the fate of the galaxy. And we believe the Dominion has underestimated humanity for over 3,000 years. Zelthara's throat tightened. 3,000. Captain, your species should not even be aware of the Dominion's age. Arya's eyes hardened, steel beneath calm. There is much you don't know about us. Korvac struggled to keep his voice steady. You will accompany us to Celestia Prime. The Emperor will decide the next steps. Arya nodded. Very well. We accept the invitation. The Horizon One turned, gliding into formation beside the massive Imperial fleet. The humans were outnumbered, outgunned, surrounded on all sides. Yet somehow it was the Dominion that felt nervous. For the first time in millennia. The journey to Celestia Prime was tense, even the vacuum of space seemed to hold its breath. Throughout the fleet, Thalcor officers watched the solitary human flagship glide in perfect silence, its hull shifting subtly like a living thing dreaming in deep space. The great Imperial warships, armed with star-cracking cannons and fleets of parasite drones, felt suddenly old. Ancient. Outdated. Whispers grew across every deck. How are the humans doing that? What if they learned it from someone else? What if they evolved beyond detection? What if the stories about Soul were lies? But no one dared voice these fears aloud. Not until they reached the capital. The alien capital world, Celestia Prime. Celestia Prime was a world of impossible beauty, an entire planet carved into living architecture. Towering spires grown from crystalline bone. Rivers of luminescent plasma running through elevated canals. Giant sky organisms drifting above the cities, their translucent wings scattering light like moving auroras. The Horizon One descended among them like a dark omen. For the first time in history, a human vessel entered the Dominion's atmosphere without permission, yet unharmed, unstoppable, and unescorted except by fear itself. Inside the Imperial Hall, Emperor Vorzen stood at the center of a colossal chamber grown from star fossils and ancient rootstone. The air tasted of incense and electrified dust as the transport gate blossomed open. Captain Arya Solane stepped through. Every eye in the chamber locked onto her. A single human. Surrounded by thousands of alien nobles, soldiers, scholars, admirals. All watching her like a living paradox. Arya bowed respectfully. Emperor Vorzen. Thank you for receiving us. The Emperor studied her with all four of his eyes. You arrived under armed escort, he said calmly. Some would call that an invasion. Arya allowed a faint smile. Your admiral fired first, Majesty. Yet we still came peacefully. A murmur swept the hall. Korvac stiffened, but Vorzen raised a hand. That is true, the Emperor said. We misjudged your vessel. Tell me, Captain, what is the nature of the technology that allowed it to survive a plasma lance capable of piercing a starfreighter? Arya turned slightly, placing a compact, crystalline module on the floor. Majesty, with your permission, I'd like to demonstrate. Zelthara stepped forward, eager. Majesty, I request permission as well. This demonstration could advance our understanding. The Emperor nodded. Proceed. Arya tapped the module. A soft hum filled the chamber. Then, the floor twisted. Not breaking, not shaking, curving. Space itself bent around the module like a flexible sheet. Light strands spiraled, looping into helixes. Zelthara gasped. Gravitational flex manipulation, not with anchors, but with a freestanding field generator. That's impossible. Arya shook her head gently. Impossible is a word humans learn to challenge very early. Korvac stepped forward, eyes narrow. How did your species, only recently entering space, develop physics we have not touched in 15 millennia? Arya's expression darkened. Because we were never your recently spacefaring species. We hid our evolution. Zelthara almost whispered. Why? Arya's answer chilled the entire hall. Because the last time humanity revealed itself, your empire nearly exterminated us. A wave of shock crashed through the chamber. Even Emperor Vorzen stiffened. That is, impossible. The historical records were edited, Arya said quietly. By your ancestors. After the first human-dominion encounter. Silence. Utter silence. Then. Explain. Vorzen's voice had dropped to a dangerous whisper. Arya stepped forward. 3,000 years ago, a Dominion scouting fleet entered the Sol system. They discovered early human colonies, not primitive tribes, but advanced biosphere projects on Mars and Titan. That is a lie. Korvac snapped. Arya continued smoothly. Your fleet attacked first. We resisted. You suffered losses. In retaliation, your empire sterilized our colonies with atmospheric disruptors. Zelthara's skin drained of color. That technology was discontinued millennia ago. It hasn't existed since. Since your historians erased what happened, Arya said. She projected a hologram, charred Martian cities, scorched Titan arcologies, drifting ruins of human habitats. The hall fell deathly still. The Emperor approached the images slowly. I know nothing of this. Arya nodded gently. We believe you, Majesty. The crime was not yours, but your predecessors. The past emperors feared humanity. So they destroyed us before we could rise. Korvac clenched his fists. Why return now? Revenge? Arya's expression softened as she looked at Zelthara, the one person who seemed to truly want the truth. No, she said. We returned because humanity refused to die. She raised her wrist. A second projection appeared, this one far more beautiful. The inside of Horizon 1. A beating crystalline core. Organic neural strands. Quantum bioplasma veins. A ship that was both grown and engineered. The product of 3 millennia of underground human evolution. Gasps rippled through the chamber. Arya spoke softly but firmly. We hid our technology. We hid our cities beneath oceans, under ice crusts, inside quantum cloaking shells. We evolved in secret. We prepared, not for conquest, but for the day the Dominion returned. She looked directly at the Emperor. And now you have returned. The Emperor's breathing deepened, slow, heavy, troubled. His empire had built itself on the belief that it was unchallenged. Unquestioned. Unmatched. Yet here stood a single human, a survivor of a genocide the Dominion never admitted, revealing that humanity was now something far more advanced than any primitive species. The chamber erupted. This cannot be true. Humans are insects. Technology like this is forbidden. The Dominion cannot be rivaled. Zelthara raised her voice. Majesty. This changes everything. Humanity is not what we believed. And if their claims are true. She turned toward the emperor. Our empire has committed an atrocity beyond measure. Korvac erupted. You suggest we believe them? Over our own history? The emperor silenced everyone with a single raised arm. Captain Solane, he said slowly, your revelation has fractured the foundation of our empire. Arya bowed her head respectfully. We did not come to break the empire, Majesty. We came because the galaxy is changing. And we will not hide anymore. The emperor closed his eyes. Humanity had risen from ashes he didn't know his empire created. And now, the Dominion faced a new reality. One it did not understand. One it did not control. One it might not survive. The forest that remembers. The boy, still weak, still trembling, looked around the forest as if seeing it for the first time in years. This place, he whispered. It remembers everything. Mia frowned. What do you mean? He lifted his hand. The moonlight touched his fingers. And suddenly the trees around them shimmered. Not with light. With memories. Faint, ghost-like images appeared between the branches. Shadows of people walking, laughing, crying. Every soul that had ever entered the forest. Mia stepped back. Are those spirits? The boy shook his head. No. Not spirits. Echoes. The forest stores moments so it never forgets who it failed to protect. Mia felt a chill run down her spine. Failed to protect? The boy looked at her, eyes full of grief. The forest once belonged to guardians. We protected travelers, lost children, lonely hearts. But when the curse took hold of me, everything changed. He stared at the ground, voice shaking. The curse didn't turn me into a cat. It turned me into a warning. Mia swallowed. A warning of what? He pointed to the lake, the moonlit water now darker, rippling. A darkness sleeps beneath that lake. And the curse was meant to keep it trapped. But now that I'm free. The water began to swirl, deeper and deeper, as if something massive was awakening. Mia's heart thundered. What did we release? She whispered. The boy took her hand tightly. Not what, he said. Who? A deep rumble echoed from the lake. The moonlight shattered across the water like broken glass. And then, from the center of the lake, a shape began to rise. Tall. Shadowy. Human, but not human. Mia gasped. The boy whispered, voice trembling with dread. He has awakened. The shadow that wore a face. The thing rising from the lake was no creature. It was a silhouette, taller than any human Mia had ever seen. But what made her blood freeze was that it had no face. Just shifting darkness. The boy tightened his grip on her hand. Mia, don't look directly at it. Too late. The shadow turned toward them. And though it had no eyes, Mia felt it stare straight into her soul. The forest fell silent. Even the wind stopped. Then, the shadow spoke. Not with a voice. But with a feeling, curling inside her mind. You freed the guardian. So now the dead is yours. Mia stumbled back, heart pounding. What debt? The boy stepped forward, fear trembling through him, but still brave. The lake bound him for centuries. I was the key. As long as I stayed cursed, he stayed asleep. Mia's breath hitched. And now that you're free. He is too. The boy nodded, guilt flooding his eyes. I'm sorry. I never thought anyone would follow me. He looked at her, voice breaking. But you did. The ground shook. Trees bent violently as if bowing to the shadow. The faceless figure lifted a long, ink-black hand. and pointed directly at Mia. A cold whisper wrapped around her. You broke the balance. So you must take his place. Mia felt something pull inside her chest. A drag. A weight. A force trying to pull her toward the lake. No, the boy shouted, grabbing her shoulders. Don't let it take you. Fight it. But the shadow grew larger. Darker. Stronger. The lake began pulling her closer, inch by inch. Mia gasped, struggling to breathe. Why me? She cried. What did I do? The shadow answered. You followed the warning. You stepped into the forest. You touched the water. The boy held her tighter, desperately. Mia, listen to me, he said, voice shaking. There is only one way to stop him. Mia stared at him, terrified. What way? He took a deep breath. The moon reflecting in his sad eyes. You have to curse me again. The choice beneath the moon. The lake pulled harder, its surface swirling like a dark vortex. Mia could barely stand, her legs dragged toward the water as if invisible chains wrapped around her. The shadow loomed taller than the trees, its faceless gaze locked on her. The boy clutched her shoulders, trembling but determined. Mia, you have to curse me again. If I'm bound, he's bound. That's the rule. What rule? She gasped, choking on fear. The one that created me. For the first time, Mia saw it. The boy wasn't just sad. He was broken, shaped by centuries of loneliness. Mia, he whispered, I wasn't human when I was cursed. I became something, connected to him. If you bind me back to the lake, I return to sleep. And he returns with me. She stared at him, stunned. So I imprison you. To save myself. He gave a small, heartbreaking smile. To save everyone. The lake roared, whipping up spirals of black water. The pull intensified, her feet slid across the dirt. Mia, say it, he shouted. The curse. Before it's too late. But Mia shook her head violently, tears streaming. No. I'm not damning you back to that hell. Her voice cracked. You've been trapped for centuries. You deserve freedom. He cupped her face gently, even as fear trembled in him. Freedom for me means destruction for everyone else. I'm tied to him, Mia. If I stay awake, he stays awake. And he will consume everything he touches. The shadow raised both arms. The forest bent backward, the moon dimmed, the air turned heavy. The guardian has no time. Its hollow voice shivered through her bones. The boy squeezed her hands. Mia, please. This is the only way. Do it. Her heart shattered. She looked at the lake. The shadow. The boy. The world she might lose. Then she whispered. I'm sorry. His eyes softened. I know. Mia lifted her hand, trembling. She spoke the curse, not knowing how she knew the words, only that the forest taught them to her in its whispers. Return to stillness. Return to sleep. Return to the place the moon cannot keep. The boy gasped, light burst from his chest. The shadow shrieked, collapsing inward like smoke being sucked into a vacuum. The lake glowed white. Then went completely silent. The pull vanished. The forest stilled. Mia collapsed to her knees, shaking. When she looked up, the boy stood at the edge of the lake. Fading, like mist dissolving in sunlight. Mia, he whispered gently. Thank you. For seeing me. Even when I wasn't meant to be seen. She reached out, tears falling. Will I ever see you again? He smiled, soft, sad, peaceful. When the moon and the water agree again. And with that, he dissolved into silver dust. And sank into the lake. Without a ripple, Mia sat alone under the moonlight. The forest once again calm, ordinary, quiet. But she knew nothing about this night would ever be ordinary again. And somewhere beneath the lake, a boy slept. And a shadow slept with him. Both waiting, bound together. By a curse. And by a girl who cared too much.